Hey, what's up, everybody? How's it going? Quickly now, I'll share my bets for UFC 282, like the results that I got for the bets that I made. And then after that, I will share with you my UFC Fight Night 216 bets that I'm making because I decided it's the end of the year. This is the last event for UFC for this year. And I've decided to have some fun with this one. I'm going to come home tonight and watch the fights with a bucket of hot wings and enjoy myself as I bet on a couple of the fighters tonight with a couple of odd parlay bets as far as that goes for tonight's sporting events. So I'm pretty excited about tonight. But my UFC 282 results. I ended up only making three bets. I pulled out the bet of Ankalaev versus Blachowicz. I just had a weird feeling about that fight. I decided to pull that bet out. I originally bet 33 for Blachowicz versus Ankalaev, and then I pulled out my $33 and I spent it on something else. So I didn't end up betting on that one. But let's talk about the ones I did bet on. When it came to Jay Perrin versus Raul Rosas Jr., Raul Rosas Jr. ended up winning. I bet $40 on Raul and I got back $56. Now, the reason I bet on Raul Rosas Jr. is like he's one of the youngest fighters ever in the UFC. And also when I saw the weigh-ins and stuff like that, I saw like Dana White taking Rosas Jr. like under his wing, and I feel like the UFC, even though they're running a business and all that, and they're eventually going to give him harder opponents, I feel like the UFC is kind of paving the way for Raul Rosas Jr. just a little bit. Like Dana White has his back because he's just a kid and he's looking out for this kid, is how I feel. So I feel like Raul Rosas Jr. is going to get a couple of easy fights before he gets really tested, and we will see what happens. But yeah, Raul ended up winning. That was fucking awesome. And then the second bet that I made was Ilya Topuria versus Bryce Mitchell. I ended up betting $33 on Bryce Mitchell because, I thought Bryce Mitchell was going to do it. I thought he was the underdog of the night, but nope. Ilya Topuria ended up winning, and respect to Ilya Topuria for taking my $33. Ouch. And then when it came to Jared Gordon versus Paddy Pimblett, if you've been, putting your ear to the ground listening to all of the uproar that happened, did Paddy Pimblett actually win it? I mean, yeah, the judges decided for Paddy Pimblett to win, but a lot of the fans think that Jared Gordon won and that a certain type of nepotism caused Paddy Pimblett to win that. But I ended up betting $34 on Paddy Pimblett, and Paddy Pimblett won. I got like what did I get back here? Hang on one second. Gotta look at my results. I got back $46 from betting $34, which was it's pretty decent. I was just betting on the hype for Paddy Pimblett to be real, and it's kind of real, but at the same time, the fact that the judges and the fans were kind of like, "What the hell, judges?" and stuff like that, it just kind of makes me kind of go, "Okay, well, next fight Paddy Pimblett has, he better pick it up a notch, or else the fans are gonna kind of turn a bit." But that was a little bit dramatic, I thought. And then as for like the draw though, Ankalaev versus Blachowicz, I'm glad I pulled out of that bet. I originally bet $33 and then I pulled out of that bet and I spent my $33 elsewhere. But the fact that it became a draw seems pretty unreal. Like from the sounds of it, I don't know, man. It feels like favoritism, but at the same time, it's hard to say. Like Ankalaev is Russian, and then there's a war going on, Russia versus Ukraine. I just kind of felt like maybe, they didn't really want to give the championship to a Russian at this particular moment in time. I know that sounds crazy, but I feel like that war has something to do with it, like a side political kind of thing for it. I know that sometimes it happens, man. Like in the world of sports, sometimes gambling fucks it up, and sometimes political things kind of like messes everything up, so maybe that's what happened. That's why it was a draw, and Blachowicz was like, give him the title, give Ankalaev the title. Ankalaev beat me, come on, man. So like when a fighter says that about another fighter, you gotta kind of take that to heart, because like I think Ankalaev won, and so do a lot of people, but there's a lot of fucking like destroyed hype around UFC 282. I didn't really want to buy the pay-per-view. I didn't buy the pay-per-view. I just watched the replays and all that shit because like I really wanted to see Glover Teixeira versus Yuri Prohaska, and that's what I was looking for the end of the year. But yeah, that was my UFC 282 bets. I ended up on the plus right there, so that one worked out pretty good. But now let's talk about my UFC Fight Night 216 bets. I made a couple of preliminary bets. This one's a parlay bet. When it came to Sergey Morozov versus Journey Newson and David Dvorak versus Manel Kape, I decided to put a $5 parlay bet on Kape and Morozov to win. So if Manel Kape and Sergey Morozov win their fights, then I get some money back from that $5 bet. Now when it came to Brian Battle versus Renat Dinov, I can't pronounce his name, I apologize. I bet $5 on Brian Battle. Now when it came to Rafa Garcia versus Hazer Mahashate. I do like Hazer Mahashate's chances here. Like he's a good underdog, I believe it is. But I decided to bet $5 on Rafa Garcia. Go Rafa Garcia. Now, when it came to Saeed Yokub Kakramanov versus Saeed Nurmagomedov, I decided to, always bet on the Nurmagomedov. I believe that Nurmagomedov is the underdog of the night. I hope he's the lock. We'll see what happens though. Saeed Nurmagomedov is the underdog, and I decided to bet a big one on this one. Kind of, anyways. I decided to bet $30 on Saeed Nurmagomedov, who is the underdog. So go Saeed Nurmagomedov. Respect. Now we got another parlay bet coming up here. Jake Matthews versus Matt Semmelsberger and Corey McKenna versus Cheyenne Vildsmas. Can't pronounce their fucking names. I made a parlay bet for Corey McKenna and Jake Matthews to win. And the reason I decided to choose Jake Matthews is because he destroyed all of my Andre Fiallo hype. And but go Jake Matthews and Corey McKenna. And that's all I bet on for the preliminary card today. And hopefully I get something back from that. We'll see. I'm mostly just rooting for Saeed Nurmagomedov for the preliminaries. Like as far as like my heart's in it, like Saeed Nurmagomedov is where my heart is for this preliminary card. But now let's go on to the main card. We're going to start with a couple of parlays here. I made the first parlay for the main card. We got Cody Brundage versus Michael Oleksiejczyk and then Drew Dober versus Bobby Green. I decided to make a parlay bet on Mikhail Oleksiejczyk and Drew Dober. So I bet $5 for a parlay for them. I get a couple bucks back. If both of them win their fights, we will see what happens. And then a second parlay bet for the main card. We have Alex Carreras versus Julian Erosa and Amir Albazi versus Alessandra Costa. Now, when it came to those two fights, even though I really wanted to bet on Bruce Leroy there, I ended up picking Julian Erosa to win against Bruce Leroy, and then I ended up picking Amir Albazi to win against Alessandro Costa. And I placed a $5 parlay bet on that one. Hopefully I get something back from that, but we'll see. Again, like these parlays are a bit riskier, but I'm only betting a little bit of micros. I'll put it all up at the end of the fight and post my results later. But then when it came to the co-main event, Damir Ismagulov versus Arman Sarukian, I decided to place $10 on Arman Sarukian, but the way their records are, it's amazing, man. Like Damir Ismagulov is like 24 wins and 1 losses, and Arman Sarukian is 18 wins, 3 losses. It's so hard to tell. This is such a coin flip. I don't know why Arman Sarukian is such a big favorite here, but at the same time, I get why Arman Sarukian is such a favorite here. But yeah, $10 on Arman Sarukian to win. Good luck, Arman. Now, when it comes to the main event, Jared Cannonier versus Sean Strickland. This one's a tough one, man. This is definitely a coin flip. I love that term, coin flip. It's always a coin flip when it comes to sports betting, more or less. There's two people coming up against one another, or two teams coming up against one another. It's usually a coin flip, right, when it comes to sports betting. But I just have a feeling here, and whenever I play into the feeling, sometimes it works out and sometimes it doesn't. I remember I had a feeling about Andre Fiallo, and then Fiallo let me down. But sometimes though the feeling does work out. Like I had a feeling about Ngannou winning against Gain. That worked out. That was in 270. And this time for UFC Fight Night 216, Cannonier versus Strickland, I have a feeling about Jared Cannonier winning against Sean Strickland. But Sean Strickland does have a lot to prove after his KO from Alex Pereira. So having that much to prove might result in Sean Strickland picking it up a notch. And it's just really hard to tell who's going to win tonight. Both of them have pretty good records. And, if you were to compare the wins versus the losses, Sean Strickland has a higher win rate than Jared Cannonier, but I don't really think that's going to play too much into here. I feel like Jared Cannonier is going to win against Sean Strickland. So I decided to bet $26.75 on Jared Cannonier, because if I bet $26.75, if Jared Cannonier wins, then I get $50 back, pretty much exactly. So that's why I decided to place that bet, and I have a feeling about Jared Cannonier winning tonight. We shall see. Fight time starts in about 2 hours, I think it is. The early prelims. And good luck to all the fighters tonight. I will post my results for UFC 216 after tonight's fight night. And after that, though, I will post my year-end results, beginning from UFC 270 Ngannou versus Gane, all the way up to UFC Fight Night 216 Cannonier versus Strickland. I will let you know if I made competent bets or if I bet like a maniac by the end of the year. If I'm in the blue and I'm up plus money, then I made competent bet. I can't say it right now. I made good bets if I'm in the blue, is what I'm saying. And then if I'm in the red, ooh. But this was my year of gambling in UFC as far as sports betting goes. Next year, I'm going to tone it down a notch. I'm only going to really bet on the big fights like Jones versus Ngannou. That's a big one. I'm betting on Jones. Makhachev versus Volkanovski. I'll be betting on Makhachev, but anything could happen. And let's focus on tonight, though. UFC Fight Night 216 Cannonier versus Sean Strickland. I'm really excited to see how this one goes down. I'm going to have a big bucket of hot wings next to me, and I'm going to enjoy the fight. It's the last UFC of the year, so let's do it, huh? Okay, so go Jared Cannonier. Respect. Everybody have a nice day. Have a wonderful Saturday. Take care.